It's not your fear of looking stupid that's holding you back. It's what you choose to entertain in your mind. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm going to show you the step-by-step steps. I'm going to show you a few steps on how to build your confidence and navigate your self-esteem. If you're interested, let's get into it. The most impactful voices in your early life is your parents. So how your parents speak to you, what they say about you, how they see you, the words they speak over you is a great indicator on how you navigate your confidence in your adulthood.
Wool up, just wool up.
Growing up in a Ghanaian household, you have to develop tough skin. It is like fighting lions in the wild. If you have parents who are not as positive or don't build your confidence up, then you're going to feel like you're always fighting an internal battle.
My foot, my hope, all my shoulders, all my shoulders, all my hopes.
That was my experience. I didn't have parents who, not that they didn't speak life into me, but they were more critical of the things I did rather than encouraging me most of the time. I never really felt celebrated. If I actually did well in school, I was told that I needed to do more. If I got a B, I need to get an A. If I got an A, I need to get an A plus. That in itself just is a clear indicator that you are already building patterns of not feeling like you're ever good enough. The lack of praise, the pressure to show up a certain way can be so problematic and detrimental to how you see yourself as an individual. And even now in my adult years, there are so many things that I have to unlearn because my parents really didn't set that foundation for me. There's a pressure to mask yourself to appear in a certain way to your parasocial surroundings and relationships. And that is something so heavily in the Ghanaian culture, and I'm sure in other cultures, people do feel the pressure to be a certain way to be accepted by family members and friends, and it is so problematic. An example of that would be going to school to be a doctor or a lawyer, just to say you're a doctor or a lawyer even though you don't really like those careers. Those are some of the examples of how we mask to appear a certain way in front of the crowd so that they can feel like they did a good job. And I really believe it's one of our greatest downfalls as a culture. Knowing very well that this is not even the life that you're trying to live can create some internal battles, can create some insecurities, can create lack of confidence. And that led to me, even for myself, being very critical of myself, worrying about how people would see me. Because I worried so much about how people would see me, I didn't show up completely the way I wanted to show up because I was so concerned about the perception of others. On top of that, comparing myself to other people. And that is so stifling to your growth and your confidence, because to be confident, you have to see yourself as, not to sound prideful, but top tier. You have to see yourself like nobody can do it better than you. You bring a type of energy to the room that no one has. And that is something that confidence breeds. When we're so beat down by the voices of other people around us, especially our parents, it's so hard to show up fully confident or navigate life in a way where you really believe the best about yourselves. Something that the Lord has been teaching me is really accepting praise, not in a negative way, but the blessings of people. Because I never heard that growing up, it's so hard for me to accept when people are actually encouraging me and uplifting me. And there's nothing wrong with accepting praise. It can only be problematic when you allow the praise of others to be the motivator to what drives you, right? A lot of our parents probably didn't have their confidences built by their parents, probably weren't really encouraged. They were probably pushed to do things that they didn't really want to do. And that is what really funneled into how they decided to raise us. And so now that we are adults or starting to enter the ages of adulthood, we're figuring it out. We're wondering why we don't show up fully ourselves. And it's because we've been so criticized. One of my biggest challenges is the voices that I allow to dictate how I choose to show up. I used to be, and I'm still working through it, so negative. Like to the point where it's like there was like a cloud around me. It kind of feels like it's like a default internal voice that I am so used to that it's hard for me to kind of separate myself from it And in that, it has really stifled a lot of my growth and what I believe about myself, how God sees me, what my potential is, and who I am really created to be. I remember there was a time where I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, how do you see me? And I kid you not, I heard a voice say, highest commodity. It was God reminding me that he sees me as a highest commodity. And I don't think that is only for me. I really believe that's how God sees us, period. Read what highest commodity means. Highest commodity means someone or something that is highly valued. For God to even say that to me was really a perspective change. Like, girl, I see you so much more than you ever see yourself. I see you so much more than your parents see you. Get it together. Proverbs 18:21-22 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. I think that how you see yourself, what you believe about yourself, will funnel into what you speak into your life. If you believe that you suck, chances are you're going to live your life from that mindset. If you believe that you can't be yourself, chances are you're going to show up exactly that way. And people are actually going to notice that this girl is kind of insecure. I remember there was a time where I had decided to go on a social media challenge with one of my closest friends, and we were going hard. And I remember just feeling so discouraged in the moment. And I started to question if it was because of who I was. And I remember telling my friend on the phone, like, girl, I don't think I could be myself. She was like, girl, if you don't believe you can show up as yourself, then there's something that you actually need to work on internally. I think that is something that God has even taught me when it comes to confidence and self-esteem. Is like, you have to believe that you are a high commodity. You have to believe that. You have to believe that God created you in his image. You are valuable. He sees you great. You are a reflection of him. To say to God, you know what? I'm going to believe those lies. I'm going to believe those lies about myself. Here are some things that I'm doing to help me stay confident and build my self-esteem and eliminate negative self-talk. Number 1, recognize that every limiting belief about yourself is false. Anything that you believe that is limiting you from being exactly who you are is a false belief. How I've been navigating that is identifying those limiting beliefs and then counteracting those limiting beliefs with truth. So one thing that I used to believe about myself is that I never used to start things and finish them. But then I started a business, and I still have my business. I took a few courses to build my career, and I finished those courses. Doing things that counteracted those limiting beliefs has helped me so much. And I think that those are the things that you need to recognize. Like, if your parents have always told you that you start things and don't finish them, then chances are that's a limiting belief that you need to identify and then find ways to counteract that. 2, build new data about yourself. Take everything about yourself, crunch it up, and throw it away in the trash. Build new data about yourself. That means that everything that you've believed about yourself, everything that your parents have spoken over you, everything that is a negative perception of yourself, you need to get rid of it and build new data. Your thoughts can be redeemable. Write down something that you have seen yourself accomplish, and also write goals down that you actually want to see for yourself in the future and work towards them. And every time you get a negative thought, every time you think you can't do it, every time you get overwhelmed, counteract those thoughts. Tell yourself, my thoughts are redeemable. I don't have to believe this about myself. Eventually, it'll become like a muscle that you cannot get rid of. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where you tell your parents something about themselves and automatically they default to, oh, I'm a bad mom, oh, I'm a bad parent. They automatically turn it into this whole negative thing when they're just not accountable that they could have fallen short. And I feel like that is the same thing. Like, we see that template and we even ourselves buy into that template because we're so used to seeing our parents be so negative about themselves. You don't have to be comfortable with where you're at. Number 3, you have to differentiate the voices of your inner thoughts and beliefs. How you can easily do that is, there's a chart where it talks about Satan's voice and God's voice. So I'm going to read that for you. So it says God's voice calms, comforts, convicts, encourages, enlightens, leads, reassures, stills. And Satan's voice obsesses, worries, condemns, discourages, confuses, pushes, frightens, and rushes. I'm not saying that your parents or your friends are maybe the enemy's voice or maybe Satan, but the enemy can use the people that you love around you for his plans. He can use the people around you to push you, discourage you, make you feel defeated, cause worry. It's always the people that you love the most that are going to obviously have more of an influential voice in your life. And you're probably even going to value their voice more because you know them and love them. And so sometimes Satan can use those voices to make you feel like this is the truth about yourself. But you have to learn how to differentiate those voices from your belief and your thoughts. When you have a wound and someone keeps picking at it, if you don't bandage that wound up, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And that's kind of like your thoughts. If you're not able to differentiate the difference between God's voice and Satan's voice, or truth about yourself and the negative lies about yourself, you're going to continue to pick at that wound until you're really deep down in a spiral. 4, breaking generational cycles. One thing about me, come here, one thing about you, you're going to break those generational cycles. I love being Ghanaian. I love the culture. I love the people. I love the food. I love our language. I love everything about us. But there are just some things that I am not subscribing to, and you don't have to either. I am not going to be the parent that compares my child to somebody else. Even if it's not exactly how I want things to be, I am going to still celebrate their small wins. I'm not even going to try and compare my children to each other. It's so easy to default into that thinking. I feel like a lot of our confidence and self-esteem is built on this aspect of generational cycles where it's like, well, my parents did it. You don't have to buy into those beliefs. You can make a difference, and it has to start with you. We're going to be the generation that makes different impact in our children's life. I feel like that is what's going to help you build your confidence, help you see yourself, eliminate negative self-talk. Last one. This is my favorite one. I had to leave the best for last. Conscious effort leads to a conscious result. When you are intentional, what you choose to partner up with, being conscious will lead to your conscience thanking you later. But it's up to you to choose those things. It's up to you to make the conscious effort and be intentional about those things. How you see yourself, what you believe about yourself is determined on you. I just want to leave you guys with a scripture. So in 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, we demolish every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought and bring it to obedience of Christ. As you're watching this video, I challenge you to take everything captive into the obedience of Christ. As always, don't forget to shine your light while honoring the process. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share with a friend, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Love y'all. Bye.